What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode. We're here today with the one and only Boosted Brady. Today we're going to bring some true value to you guys, as a lot's gone on since our last podcast. So stick around and enjoy the show. And what's going on in your life? What's changed?
A lot, man.
A lot.
Yeah, I now run the biggest door-to-door solar team in Idaho.
And like out of everybody?
Out of everybody.
Nice.
Yeah, our team is like absolutely taking over, which is pretty freaking crazy.
That is.
I mean, because what? We started last November.
Okay.
And we had a team of 3.
Nice.
And now we're between like 30 and 40, just depending on the week. So
wow.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy the changes that happen.
Yeah, so in a year and 3 months, you went from 3 guys to the biggest one in Idaho. What was, when you started, who was the biggest then in November?
It's probably a company called Horizon.
Okay.
Yeah, they probably had a team like 20, 25.
Nice. And do you know how long they've been around for?
7 years.
7 years?
Yeah.
So in 1 year and 3 months, you kicked it out of the park. Jeez.
Yeah, but it was hard, man. I mean, going from that transition to like just being a salesman to trying to like recruit reps. And the hardest part actually I've learned is keeping them. That is like the hardest part.
What's so hard about it? I mean, what's been the challenge?
Well, you were in sales, right?
Yeah.
You know how hard it is to actually be successful in it. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of kids come in like they think they're going to become super successful, and then reality hits them.
That makes sense.
And they don't know how to like get through that learning curve.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
We're always just telling them like, don't quit. You know, obviously we're hyping them up. Like we are so happy we didn't quit because look at like where we're at now because of it. Yeah. But a lot of people just can't get over that hump. So
that makes sense.
I'd say that's probably the hardest part about it.
Yeah, right on. So how was it going from being a salesman to being one of the biggest? I mean, being
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet.
I think you just kind of get put in the position. Like, I was actually talking to a guy I work with the other day about this, where like leaders just kind of rise to it. They're not just handed a position and say, "Here, go figure it out."
Oh yeah.
It's like, bro, the spot is up for the taking, like at all times.
Nice.
You know, it's like whoever steps up, takes the most action, is going to get the best results from it.
That makes sense.
So, I'm still learning, but I would say, from the last time you and I talked to now, I've probably got at least 2 times better at it. Yeah, I've learned to delegate. Like I used to just take on all the responsibility myself. Like I still used to knock doors all the time, which I probably should still do a little bit. But I still sell. But I mean, beforehand, I was having to interview everyone. I was having to onboard everyone. I was having to do all that, and now I have someone handle all that for me.
Nice.
Takes a ton of pressure off.
I bet.
And then like the brand new people don't even really reach out to me. They reach out to other people, which takes so much stress off my plate.
I bet. Yeah. So you've built up people then to train those other people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice.
But like when you're first starting to build, that's really hard to do because you have to find those key players you can put the trust in.
I bet.
And with sales, they'll get good and then they'll quit.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think I had to do it probably 5 times.
Really?
Rebuild it 5 times.
Wow.
Until we finally got it, like the core group of people. So
nice.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
It's been fun though. I think the money's cool, but I think the most fun part is like just learning how to do it. I don't know how it is for you and like your industry.
Yeah.
But like I find the business, the managing part, that's like just fun.
Yeah.
Because it's like I know I'm getting better every day.
That makes sense. Yeah. For me, like my company is also, I guess, we're kind of switching directions a little bit from last time we did a podcast, and
well, run us through it.
Yeah, sounds good. So at the beginning of, well, I guess in all of 2023, we were thinking we wanted to be a building company. We would be a design build company. So we would take a client from an idea to designing their home to actually building it and seeing it all through the whole process. But we've done that this year, I guess last year, and we found that the margins aren't that good. Clients are harder to find, and you put a lot of work into it. That's kind of it's paid, but not high volume and not really a moneymaker. So you you make ends meet, but it's not super lucrative. And so anyways, and it's hard to scale as well. You can only do a few houses at a time. And so we decided, well, after looking at all the numbers and everything, and also the economy had a little bit of influence, but mainly just like how can we expand with the least amount of resistance. And anyways, we were switching directions to just specializing in siding and decks. And so making that switch has been a lot of work, because we had to redo the website, we had to redo like a lot of our contracts and stuff, and then also the structure of our business, my business. And so it's been a big challenge with all that, but kind of the same thing. You just rise to the occasion and take advantage of it. So
because last time I was on here, you were fully doing the builds.
Yeah.
Because you and I were talking about building a house, and I was curious, when did it change? Because that wasn't that long ago that I was here for that.
Actually, we just finished that job.
Oh, really?
Yesterday. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, your question was, when did we make that change?
Yeah.
So we made it like 2 or 3 months ago. Probably 3 months ago. Just after looking at all the numbers and everything, and we've basically taken that 3 months to rebuild everything. So but it'll be a lot easier to scale, and we'll be able to really take it a lot further. So
did you have to find a different crew for that, or like find new people to work with, or were the people you're currently working with cool with that? Yeah, they're cool with that. Okay.
But the main goal is to, like, my core group right now is going to be managing the crews, and so we'll be able to pivot pretty easily. It'll be an easy transition. So and especially since early last year we did a lot of siding jobs, and so they already know that game well. So
100%.
So they're already trained, and they'll be able to train whoever I hire. So
that's how it works, isn't it? We both had the same thing going on. Just different industries.
So
that's funny.
Anyways, but it's been cool. We're really excited. 2023 was a great year. That was our first full year in business.
Okay.
We were 30K, 28K, under $1 million. So we were pretty excited with that.
Yeah, that's it.
But anyways, so
last year's your first full year in business?
Yeah.
Or did you start it last year?
It was my first full year. I started it late 2022. So,
that's actually similar to me. Last year was my first full year in solar.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
So
right on.
We're both like on the same thing. That's so weird.
Right on. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
I think the first year is kind of just like you learn.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think I made like so many thousands of dollars in mistakes.
Really? Yeah.
I don't know if you were the same.
Yeah.
But it was like, if I like look back at it, I'm like, wow, I was stressing over that.
No, really.
When in reality, it's like, I would have known how to do that instantly now.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I think when you first start in business, you dwell on decisions.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but at least I did. I'd be like, a situation comes up and I'd think about it for like a week or 2 weeks. And I'm like, I just need to freaking do it.
Yeah.
And now you just can make the decisions.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's that way for sure. And like for me being the business owner, I guess it's super hard to make the financial decisions, because things in business are 100, maybe even 1,000 times more expensive than in regular life. And so you can't think about the big numbers. You just think, okay, that's that percentage of what I currently have, or of our future sales or whatever. And so if you let the little things get to you, I think you'll burn out super fast, because it's too much.
So, I would agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
Dang. I can imagine. Yeah. So you probably have a lot you have to deal with.
Yeah. To operate, it's like $15K a month.
Yeah.
So, and that's before like any personal bills are paid.
Right.
Yeah.
That's got to be stressful.
It is, but it's not like. So if I focused on that, it would kill me. Like, it would give me a heart attack probably. Yeah. But if I don't even think about it. I just think, okay, how can we do better next month? And so how can we get like 5x that every month, to where that's not even a big deal. So
how do you separate the two though? Because it's something even I struggle with.
Oh yeah. So it's kind of. I hate to say it, but it's ignorance. Like, straight up. Yeah, that's going to get paid no matter what. If I just focus on getting more sales, doing jobs better, faster, getting referrals, all that stuff, it's going to get taken care of. And so I'm not even going to think about it. I'm just going to ignore it and focus on, going forward. So...
Yeah, that's something I definitely struggle with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's like when I'm, are you similar? Does your work consume your life?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
Like when you come home, for instance, do you think about work a lot?
Yeah, so last night, for example.
Classic, yep.
Yeah. Yeah, so I've been gone all week. We were working out of town.
Right.
And I got home last night, sat down and had dinner, spent like 30 minutes with the family, and got back to work. And so on a Friday night, and that's my life. So, and I do separate. So I guess setting proper expectations for yourself and boundaries is what I've found to be really important, because if, say, you know, I'm a workaholic, I would say. I like to work and I enjoy it. I don't think it's a bad thing.
No.
But if I set boundaries, so like Saturday evenings and Sundays are my day with my family. Every other time is work. You know, morning, evening, during the day, it's work. And so, yeah. So setting those proper boundaries, like with my wife and with myself, really helps to, okay, this is my time to work. This is my time to get stuff done. When I'm doing this, I need to be doing it. When I'm not doing it, I need to be, you know, focused on what I'm doing in that moment. So
I think a lot of people on their journey get lost in that step.
Oh, yeah.
They'll be like, when they're working, they're thinking about not working.
Oh, yeah.
Like they'll be, I don't know, for instance, me, when I'm selling, a lot of kids won't be focusing on actually selling and actually getting better.
Oh, yeah.
They're thinking about what they're going to do after work and what party they're going to go to, which that's just how the sales environment is.
Yeah.
And I think being able to like flip it back and forth is one of the most important things.
Yeah.
Because if you can actually devote 100% to work when you're at work, you'll get like 5 times more done than if you're like 50-50 in it.
I totally agree. Yeah. And I think with that being said, your work should be enjoyable to you, and it makes it so much easier. Because like if you hate sales, of course you're not going to think about making a sale, you know. But if you love sales, if you're, you know, just a diehard salesman, then all you can think about is the sale. And so doing what you like, and nobody I like sales, for example. I don't think I've never even heard of a person doing sales and just loving it. Like the first, you know, a month in, they usually hate it, right?
Yes.
But until they get good at it, they will probably dislike it a fair amount.
Right.
But it's the drive that will get them to being good at it and starting to enjoy it. And so
I think that's just with anything with humans, though.
Yeah.
Like you usually don't like things that you're not good at.
Yeah.
Like I'm looking at your golf clubs. Like I don't like golfing because I suck at it. I bet you though, if I got really good at it, I would be obsessed with it and want to go golfing all the time.
Yeah, probably so.
And then sales, obviously, you make money doing it, so then you become obsessed with that part of it. But you just kind of gotta go into that, I guess.
Yeah, stick it out.
Stick it out. That's the hardest part. I mean,
it is.
I mean, we've probably had over 100 people turn over this year.
Really?
Of just not being able to stick it out, or me making a leadership mistake that cost me people. It's one of my mentors told me, your first couple of years doing like building a business, you're literally screwing up on people's futures and careers.
Wow.
Isn't that weird to think about?
That is, yeah.
It's like if you can't figure out how to be like the best leader, the people who could have been great now don't become great because you weren't great.
Wow. Yeah, that's good. That's pretty good. Yeah.
And I thought about it, I was like, dang, that's brutal. I need to level up faster.
Yeah, seriously. Wow, that's crazy.
Like, because when I first came into selling, there was a guy who like kind of mentored me. And I think about it, I was like, if that one guy wasn't there, I never would have made it in sales. I would have quit sales and done something else. And I'm like, my whole life would be completely different if it wasn't for that one individual.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's weird to think about.
Yeah. So what's like one of the biggest things that you've learned this year or last year?
In terms of sales or in terms of like leading a team?
Leading a team.
I thought I was going to be able to live my dream life in a way shorter period of time.
That makes sense.
Like, I think I learned the skill of patience finally.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Right.
Because I'm a very impulsive person. I have to get stuff done right now.
Oh, yeah.
And I think business is teaching me patience. Like, I was originally like, dang, I hope I can pull this off. Like, I hope I can build the big team. I hope I can do this. Like, if I can do it. Now I just know it's like a when thing. It's like when it comes, like it's already happening, and I just know it's going to happen now.
Yeah, right.
So that's probably the biggest thing I learned is like it's going to happen. Don't stress too much about it.
I bet.
Because the first 6 months, I was so stressed. I couldn't sleep at night. I couldn't like focus on anything other than work.
Wow.
And it literally was like just destroying my mental health.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And so I think that's probably the biggest thing I learned over the year. How about you?
Yeah. Probably, the same in a way. Just, it's really hard for me not to have like shiny object syndrome going after the next biggest thing, you know.
Sure.
I'm not gonna lie. So first time we did a podcast with you, I think you've been on 3 now.
3 times.
So,
Yeah.
So the first one you were talking about solar, and you were saying that some guys in Texas were bringing home like $1 million.
We had a guy hit 1.4 mil this year in commission. That's not revenue. That's like commission. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. And so when I heard that, I was like, I mean, we were doing okay in business. I was making like $15K a month, and
sure.
I was like, dang, man, that I could do that, you know?
Yeah.
And so, but I actually thought about it for a good 2 weeks, probably. Just like, man,
really?
Should I go into solar? Like, screw this business thing. I was breaking my back, and you know, just super hard work.
Right.
And so I was like, no, if I just focus on this one thing, it's gonna work out. And so that was one thing that I learned this year. Just stick it out. Stick with one thing and take it, you know, to the moon.
100%.
And so that's been a valuable lesson for me. And then it also makes it a lot easier for me because I don't get distracted by other things. And so it's easier to stay focused, I guess, knowing that this is my route. And so
I think a lot of that though correlates with where you're at in your business.
Oh yeah.
Because business is not like a job. It's not like freaking smooth sailing. It's very ups and downs.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people make rash decisions when they're down here. Like people make rash decisions when they're in a valley, they call it. And like when things are not going good, say you haven't, for my industry, say you haven't made a sale in a month, you're like pissed off, you freaking are like, did I just get lucky? Then you start to like look for something else.
Yeah.
But you never make those big decisions when you're like level or up high. So I think before you make those decisions, you should be like on this transition.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was just listening last week to the Cardone Zone, Grant Cardone's podcast, and he was saying, when you're in the lows, you know, that's when you go hard. That's when you go all in. And well, you should go all in all the time, but double down when you're in the lows. Because when you're in the lows, your competitors are usually in the lows as well.
Right.
And that's when they kind of mellow out, and then, you know, they just stay low for a while. But if you double down, you can come up way better, way faster, everything else.
And one of the good Hormozy quotes is it's like, when stuff gets hard, I just have to think to myself, this is when everyone quits.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a good quote.
It is, yeah. Killer.
I think about it all the time. Like, when it gets really hard, I'm like, that's why no one else wins. It's because I won't quit and they do.
Yeah.
So
that's a good point.
It's a good thing to live by, especially like in your business, I would assume. You've been probably put in some hard spots over the year. You're like, can I even do this?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just recently. So like 2 months ago, we were at the point where we were getting close to the end. We were getting to the interior of this house that we're on, and we didn't really have too much booked out. We got like 2 jobs, about, I don't know, 50,000 in work. And so I was like, man, this is kind of a transitioning point. Like I could pivot in any direction. And so it was hard for me to, I guess, I was tired of it. And it was getting harder, and I knew that if I continued, it would get even harder for a long time before it'd get better. And like, you know, months. And it's not just a hard, difficult as in mentally or anything. It's physically draining, mentally draining, financially draining. Pretty much sucks the life out of you, And so it's not, I've had a lot of situations like that over the last year where yeah, if I was to quit, like it'd be better in the moment, but definitely not for the future. So,
and I think something that helps me get through those times, because I had that happen to me this year as well. we lost our electrical license. We couldn't get installs, so none of my sales guys were getting paid.
Man,
and it's like you're like. At this time, I probably had 20 people depending on like, you know, these jobs going in.
Yeah.
And I lost a lot of them because of that.
Man.
But like in that moment, I just had to like get a really good routine in my life. Wake up at the same time every day. As dumb as it may sound, but like read a book every day on something business related. Because they talk about valleys and how that's just a normal thing. And I think that helped me through those tough times.
I bet.
It's just like keeping your mental health happy.
Yeah.
As weird as it is, man, it worked for me.
Nice. That's good. Yeah. So when you were like, when that was happening, how did you encourage your team as much as you could?
To be honest, I could have probably done a better job at that. Because like the leader's job is to keep everyone like intact and trustworthy and everything. But I probably should have talked about not making a decision in a valley because everyone was in a valley, including myself. And it was hard to like keep morale high. And then it got to a point where people wouldn't even want to sell because they're like, if I sell, I'm worried it's never even going to go in. And they're like, I'm like, oh crap, how do I get through this stuff? But honestly, what I did is I just went out and outsold everyone. I just led from the front and I just put faith into what I was doing, and it took like 3 months, but then everything got fixed and we got it all wrapped up. But I could have done a better job at that. But my only thing I could think of was, okay, these people are starting to lose trust, right? They're starting to not sell as much. If I go out there and I just outwork everyone and outsell everyone, hopefully everyone will follow. And so that's the route I took with it. I'm not like a big motivational guy. Like I'll do some sales chants and stuff, but I'm not like speaking wisdom into kids all day long. I just work my butt off. So
right on.
That's how I got through it.
Lead by example.
But a lot of people left during that time, and I don't blame them. Like it's hard to get through that as a sales rep.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, especially, I don't know, I'm sure like it's probably really takes the wind out of their sails, I'm sure, just selling these jobs for what if they're not getting paid, you know? So, yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, the average solar commission's like what, $7-8 grand.
Wow.
So it's like these kids are not waiting on $500. We're talking like months of rent.
Seriously.
You know, it's not like a small amount. So
it's
kind of crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, that is.
Because a normal sales commission in remodeling is probably like $3 grand.
Yeah, and remodeling probably so. Yeah,
probably about $3 grand. So solar's like double or triple.
Nice.
But it takes longer to go in because of permitting. So
that makes sense.
You really shouldn't be closing solar unless you have like a good bank account. Just like weather the storm.
You know? Make it through the lows.
Make it through the lows.
Yeah, makes sense. Nice.
But I had shiny object syndrome as well. I mean, I think all of us, when we get in like a low point, we start to question like, am what I'm doing, is this the right decision?
Right, yeah. Are there better opportunities out there?
Yes. You'll always like look for it too.
Yeah, no
doubt. I actually made a mistake too in my leadership career because I went from being a salesman to being a leader, and I didn't have someone teaching me how to do it. I had to learn it all on my own, which is fine. That's the best way to do it. But I learned if the leader or the top dog starts to look for a different option, it really screws everything up.
Really?
Because now you're not certain on your path, and people can see it. Like clear as day, they'll be like, uh-oh. Like the leader's looking maybe we are at the wrong spot, and the whole thing tanks.
I bet. So I just heard there's one of Grant Cardone's speakers. I can't remember his name, but he's a doctor. But he was saying that in our brains, like this neuroscientist did a study, and in our brains, like we have brain frequencies, right? And so thought frequencies. And the one that other people can actually feel is the authenticity. And so if you're authentic or inauthentic, people know it, like for sure. And so it's really interesting. And I've really been trying to like get the most out of that.
Yeah.
If you're not authentic, so like if you're in your position, for example, being a leader but looking for other opportunities, like nothing is said about it, but people can feel it. And so, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. And I think that screwed me up a lot. Like all these little things though are good because now you know what not to do.
Yeah. Learning from your mistakes.
Learning from your mistakes, exactly. Because imagine, say things weren't perfect for 3 years, and I was crushing it, and then I had one of these things happen, I'd probably been like, oh, I just got lucky, I'm gonna go do something else.
Oh yeah.
And just jump, versus like now I know how hard it was to get to where I'm at, so I think it's gonna make me a lot stronger in the long run. So.
Nice. Yeah. I think that like in your position, my position, anybody that's going after the fullest of life, like courage I think is so important, because like the courage to fail. Like putting yourself in situations where you don't know what's on the other side, but being able to just pursue it and, you know, go through, you know, you're going to make mistakes, but don't be afraid of the mistakes. Be aware of them and be open-minded to your mistakes so that you can learn from them. That's something that I've been learning a ton, is just that, I made a ton of countless mistakes last year. And it's, just, okay, what can I do better? And you can always improve, so.
Yeah, I think, like, I don't know if I told you, did I ever tell you about the time I got snaked? I didn't tell you about this?
No.
Okay. So we do these things called blitzes, which is where we would go, I'm not going to say the town in case people find my honey hole, but we would drive like 4 or 5 hours away from here. We'd get a huge Airbnb for like 20 people.
Wow.
And we would just eat, sleep, and breathe selling solar.
Nice.
And so I went on this trip one time, and I spent 10 grand. My own money, $10,000 on an Airbnb.
Wow.
It was freaking sweet. Like, we were like living the dream life, you know?
I bet.
And I had one of my best weeks of my career.
Nice.
I sold, I think, 9 that week.
Wow.
Which is like a lot if you do the math on money. And right as I left, I was like, this is going so good. And my team was crushing it.
Nice.
One of the sales reps on my team was actually working for another company.
No way.
So I had brought a kid on who wasn't with my company.
No.
And I didn't know.
Jeez.
He went back and flipped all of my sales to a different company.
No way.
I lost like over 50 grand.
Jeez.
Because it was like I had the commission, the Airbnb. I literally got smoked.
Jeez.
And so it was like you have this huge high of like, oh my gosh, like because I'd never spent that much money on Airbnb. I'd never had that many people with me. I'm like, this is so sick. And then I leave and just,
jeez.
Like you're driving home and you're like, this is awesome. And then you get home and like a day later, it's like cancel. And then you find out what actually happened.
No way.
And you're just like, bro, this is brutal.
Gee, that sucks, man.
So,
that's crazy.
That was like one of my biggest lows of the year.
I bet.
And so, but originally, obviously I fired the person who did it.
Yeah.
But like I thought about not, and I was like, am I being too lenient? Like these are like all things I had to think about.
Yeah.
And just recently, actually last week, I caught a rep selling for a different company on my guys.
Really?
And I didn't even think about it. It was just like, get out of my office, you're nothing to me. Like, bye-bye.
Wow.
And like I didn't even have to think about it because what happened was this person who did that to me tainted my whole sales culture.
I bet.
This one person influenced 5 or 10 other people to go sell for that other company.
Really?
And I lost like my whole team almost.
Wow.
Because of one person. And so this kid did the same thing, and I just cut him immediately, and I only lost that one person. I didn't lose 10.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So,
wow, that's crazy.
Like,
man.
Oh, it pissed me off. You can imagine how pissed I was.
I bet. Yeah.
Like, I paid for your Airbnb. I paid for your food. Like, I paid for everything, and you're going to snipe me like that?
Yeah, that's low. Man.
So
I can't believe that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's bad.
I bet, yeah.
So that was one of my like worst points of the year, and then you question, you're like, am I a shitty leader?
Right.
Because how did I not catch this?
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, then you get in your head.
Yes, then you get in your head, and,
man.
But then you still got to be the leader to keep it going. And,
man, that's rough.
Yeah. A couple of those situations happened last year, and that's why I think the more the leader sells, the more the leader has to like really pay attention.
That makes sense.
Everyone in their circle.
Yeah. Yeah, I can agree with that. What have you found useful for like leadership material?
Like books wise?
Books, podcasts, people.
Yeah. Let me think for a second. One of my guys who or as a mentor, I guess, in solar, like you win the locker room first, I think is the name of this book.
Nice.
It's pretty dang good. It talks about how sports teams, they win in the locker room before they go out and actually play the game.
Yeah.
And I apply that to my sales team. You know, you win in your meetings, you win in your culture before you all go out and play the game of sales.
Nice.
So I learned that culture is the most important thing. Hands down, regardless. I don't care what anyone says, that is the most important thing.
Nice.
Because even if kids aren't making money, which it happens in sales, they still are happy to be a part of like this organization.
Nice. There's more unity?
Yes. Like we're all friends now. Like
nice.
I learned, because originally I recruited friends to work with me.
Okay.
And I had a hard time managing friends. So I thought to myself, to make it easier to manage my friends, I have to distance myself from them.
Oh, yeah.
Like they would go out on the weekends, like go smoke cigars, go get dinner. I would remove myself. Because then it would be easier for me to manage them.
Yeah.
But I learned, then you lose your influence on people. So I learned you kind of just like have to be like in the middle on that that topic. Because if you're not like somewhat good friends with them, or like have a good relationship with them, you can't influence them at all.
That makes sense.
So that book taught me that
nice.
secret. And
right on.
It's just like building a good culture is the key to the success. But it's also the hardest part.
Yeah, I bet.
You know, it's like we were part of the same organization. They had a killer culture.
They did.
And that's how their team was successful.
Nice.
Just point blank was their culture. So.
Nice. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I find the same thing is also useful in construction, like with your crews, not your salesmen, but your crews.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously with your salesmen as well, but
yeah.
If your crews are a tight-knit group, then they start reading each other's minds. Like, you know, I guess they know what the other person needs, and so they'll just go do it or go get it or whatever, and it helps the whole thing flow a lot better.
Right.
And yeah, it's more of a synergy run company if the crew is a tight-knit group and everything. So, and I've noticed that keeping the same guys together, like if you have multiple crews, if you are switching guys all the time, they never get that synergy because they don't have long enough to build that together. And so if you keep them together for a long time, then you know, each person is the other guy's right hand, and so they can just build on each other and do really well, better work, and faster. So
did you learn that in a book, or did you learn that in real life?
Experience, yeah. So, anyways, but it does help a lot for sure.
Yeah, so. I think I was thinking about this the other day. I think you can learn a lot by reading and like watching other people on the internet.
Yeah,
but you're just going to learn 10 times more by actually doing it and making the dang mistakes. And then you see the reading. It's like, say I read this really good piece of information. I was like, oh, that's cool. And then like 6 months later, I made a mistake, and then I'd be like, oh, now I see where that's coming from. Nice. Maybe that's just me not being the smartest kid in the world and having to make the mistakes myself. But that's how I learn. It's just by screwing everything up.
I'm the same way. Like with marketing, for example, I read every book I could find on marketing last year. But I was like, okay, when we start getting to like less than 6 months booked out, then I'll start marketing. And so I didn't really market much last year because we were always busy. And so I didn't really retain anything that I learned. And now this year, like, we're hitting marketing hard, and so I'm having to go through and reread all my books and everything. But and a lot of it, like, didn't make any sense at all until I started. And so I wish I would have just, even though I didn't need to, I wish I would have started last year. That was one of my mistakes.
I feel like sometimes you got to read things a couple times to like actually catch what they're going over. You know, the first time you read it, it sparks it, and then you'll see it, and then you'll go back and reread it. I don't know if you're religious at all, but
I am.
You are? Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the book Outwitting the Devil?
Outwitting
the Devil.
I haven't.
It's the best book I've ever read in my life.
Really?
Because I am not like super religious, but I read this book and it changed my whole life.
Really?
To be completely honest, it talks about not faith, but like the devil, and not in like a religious way, but it talks about how like bad things in your life. And it talks about how the bad things in your life take you away from your success or like your purpose driven, right?
Yeah.
It's like men want to build things, they want to become the best they can be, but for instance, going out partying is actually like the devil trying to get into your mind, or eating food that you shouldn't eat gets you overweight, which in turn makes you unhappy and takes you away from your purpose. So it's not necessarily about doing all the right things, it's about staying away from the wrong things that can tear you down over time.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that I should read that book.
You would love it. Have you heard of, I assume you've read Think and Grow Rich?
Yeah.
So it's the same author, Napoleon Hill.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I read it like 3 times. I had goosebumps.
Really?
I've never had a book hit me like that.
Nice. That's pretty cool.
Because it talks about self-mastery. And it's very important, because if you can't rely on yourself, if you can't trust yourself, you can't master yourself.
Yeah.
Like, how the heck are you going to be able to lead other people to master themselves?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, and I think, I don't know, going after self-mastery, always looking for ways you can improve yourself, I think is important and essential. Like, it goes back all the way, to Adam's time.
Right.
Yeah, and that's, I believe that we were all created in God's image, like the Bible says, and we were created for a purpose. Like, He made you the way you are to do a specific purpose, right? And same with me and everybody else. And so if we pursue that, like, God wants us to take it all the way as far as we possibly can, because that's what He has created us to do. And so by limiting ourselves, it's almost sinful. The Bible says that anything that we do out of faith or outside of faith is sin.
Okay.
And so if I know that this is the path that God has set for me for now. And so why it would be stupid and, kind of ignorant on my end if I didn't go all in with it. And yeah, so that, and like if we have that mindset, I've seen it so many times this year where God has like been just a wind in my sails pushing me through. And so
that's awesome.
Yeah, like with scheduling, for example, he made the weather bad last week because we needed one more week up in Featherville where we're working, and we couldn't do our next job until this week, which we finished up there. Now the weather's good, we can do.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, so just small things like that, but yeah.
So you would say like you're on your purpose, right? That's a fair assessment?
Yeah.
What do you think for people who can't find it?
Pray.
Pray?
Yeah.
Do you think they should go out and try a bunch of things to try to find it?
Yeah.
Because if you're anything like me, like you probably went into your business not knowing if it was going to work. Like you weren't 100% confident. Like there's always that little bit of doubt. And then you probably weren't nearly as good at it as you are now. So it's like, how does someone take that leap of faith, I guess?
Yeah.
It was the hardest thing I had to do. So
was it? Yeah. So I guess for starting my business, it was actually like super daylight clear. Like it was so obvious. But I was a missionary in Brazil for 4 years, and
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's actually how I met my wife. But, yeah. So, anyways, she's Brazilian, smoking hot, by the way. Not just kidding. Yeah.
Had to throw that in.
Yeah. No, but anyways, so on that mission, I did not know. I hadn't. It really blindsided me, I guess you could say, and so. Like, I was kind of living in the world, going after success and everything, working construction. But I was also, at that time, I was managing a crew of 40 guys. We were working on a 3.2 million square foot building. It was a resort, one of the biggest buildings in the Northwest, in Montana. And it was a huge project. I was exactly where I wanted to be. That was after I had lost everything. I lost a house, lost my soon-to-be fiance, and all my money and everything. I was literally
down bad.
Yeah, living out of my truck. I didn't have a place to live. So it was rough. And I finally got back to the point where I wanted to be. I was making 6 figures and doing pretty well. And then God called me to the mission field, and it started out, I guess my dad talked to a guy that was planning this mission in Brazil, and he said, David, you should look into this. And so I was like, no, screw that. I don't want to be a missionary.
Yeah.
And so then, like, literally a few weeks later, I was up hunting, and I crashed. My dirt bike slipped on a culvert, and I fell into a creek, and I was submerged underwater, upside down, and my motorcycle was on top of me.
Oh,
and
whoa.
my rifle was pinned down under a rock, and I couldn't get out. And my head was hurting. I didn't know what happened, but
Sure.
anyways, yeah, I don't know how long I was under there for, but I remember waking up underwater, and then fighting, and I couldn't get out. And somehow, like, after fighting enough, I guess I was able to get out, and gasping for air. My head was bleeding, and I had a pretty bad concussion. And that day I was like, man, what am I doing with my life? I need to do something different. And so
Sure.
then, and that was on a Saturday. That Sunday I was in church, and I knew I should have talked to this guy because he was there, and I didn't. I don't know why, but I didn't. And then literally the next week I was out hunting again in the desert, and I was driving, and we came up up on this little knoll, and there was a 90-degree bend in the road. I was going like 55, and it was all ice. And I pushed on my brakes, nothing happened. I tried steering, nothing happened.
Sure.
And so there was 4 other people in the vehicle, 5 of us total, and we were approaching the turn, going super fast. I tried turning, nothing, and so I literally just let go. And we turned that corner so sharp that we were pressed up against the door, and it was like insane. And so then that was the Saturday after I had got that motorcycle wreck. And so anyways, I was like, okay, this God is trying to get my attention.
Sure.
And so anyways, the next day I talked to Matt, was this guy's name, and talked to him, and 6 months later I was on a plane to Brazil. It was like so obvious to me, but at the beginning I couldn't have wanted anything to do with it. And so and then the mission, it was a really great experience. So but
and then you came back just ready to open a business, or what?
No, COVID happened, and I had to come back for 6 months. And during that time, I did some work for a guy out in Wilder at an event center. And then finally, plane tickets were selling again to Brazil. So I went back, and that's when me and my wife got married. And from there, we started a CrossFit gym as a mode of evangelism down there.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know this. Okay.
So we started a CrossFit gym during COVID, which gyms weren't even supposed to operate. In the second hardest country to start a business in during the pandemic. And so it was a huge challenge. But anyways, that was also, I knew where God wanted me to be, and so that's what we were going to do. And he blessed it. It's still going today. But anyways, so we ran that for 9 months, and then the Brazilian government didn't let me renew my visa. And so I literally had 30 days to get out of the country, or else I was going to go to jail. And so I guess they would have let me stay, but they wanted a big bribe to renew my visa.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. And so I had to get out of the country, so I left my wife there and everything, and turned the gym over to some people that we were discipling, and so they're running it now. But anyways, so we didn't sell it to them or anything, we just handed it over. And so got back to America, totally unexpected, and I was like, crap, now what do I do? So I got another construction job just as, a framer. And then worked there for like 6 months, and then went to work for DeBella for about 6 months. And then so then when DeBella asked me, when I started my business, the previous day I was at a homeowner's house, and DeBella asked me to lie to this homeowner about their roof. And because she had a brand new house. A brand new house is built by Toll Brothers. She had a little leak in her roof, and so
sell it.
I
know what you're talking about.
I don't know who the MOD was that day, but
sure.
He's like, you think that contractor's gonna get her a brand new roof and fix it the right way? He's gonna call the same guys that got her leaky roof and everything. And so he told me, tell that homeowner that the builder's not going to do anything, and that she's screwed basically unless she gets a new roof. And I was like, that's not at all true. He's required by law to fix it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm not doing that. That's crooked. And so later that day I was like, man, this is wrong. I can't do this.
It jacked you up.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. And so like I was praying on my way home from work, and I was like, Lord, I need to provide for my family. Construction doesn't pay enough. Sales is too sleazy for me.
Sure.
And in that situation. And but I got to make money. And so I was like, what do I do? And it was just so obvious, start your own business. And so I was like, okay, I didn't have any clients. I didn't have any plans to start my own business. But literally that Friday, I called Donald. I don't know if you remember him.
I know him.
I was like, sorry, man, but I just can't do it. I got to quit. And so anyways, he was sad about that, and I was too. But after that phone call, I made a bunch of other phone calls. We were booked out for 6 months in one day.
One day?
Yeah.
Dang.
So I didn't have my license. I didn't have insurance. I didn't have all the tools or anything. But I got that weekend, and then we were in business. So, yeah.
When did you start your first job?
Within that Monday. So
within a week?
Yes, within 2 days. That Friday I quit. Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday I started my first job.
Wow. So, did you just go through old contacts or what?
Yeah, so I that's exactly what I did. Yeah. So hey, I'm starting my own business. Do you know anybody that needs work?
Yeah.
We're doing construction. Anything that they need done on their house I can do. So so we didn't have a niche. We just did a little bit of everything. Yeah. For the first, I don't know, a couple months, but
and you just kind of slowly niched it down into what you wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So
that's crazy. I don't know how you know how to do all this stuff though. Like build all this stuff.
Yeah, my dad was a contractor, so yeah, I kind of grew up doing that. So
that makes more sense.
Yeah, and then I graduated high school early too, and I didn't go to college because I knew that I was so ready to just work. I wanted money.
Yeah.
And so, because I had always kind of had, I don't know, I mowed lawns when I could, and I worked after school and stuff. So anyways, I graduated at 16. I was just so tired of school, and so started framing houses then. And then at 17, I did that for a year, which I had built, other stuff like sheds and stuff when I was younger. And so I knew how to framing super easy. And so after a year of doing that, the guy that I was working for, he's like, man, you keep doing this, I'll make you a foreman next year. And I was 17. And so, at 17, I started running a crew of 4 guys building custom houses in like spur wing and stuff.
Dang.
And so, and then after that, he's like, when you turn 18, we'll be business partners. And so I was like, okay. So I started my own business when I was 18, doing construction, building houses, and some remodel stuff. But anyways, we were partners. We were, I guess, on every project we'd have both of our company names and everything on the contract.
Right.
And I bought my first house at 18. It was 11 acres out in Emmett, and we were doing this one job, and I found out that this was after the new year, and I found out that he was not paying his taxes and stuff, and that had direct influence on me because I was his partner, and so I was also liable for that. And so that was rough. I was like, man, I'm gonna lose everything. And so that's what happened. And I literally just signed over my house to him and signed over my business, everything, lost it all for the sake of not going to jail for not paying taxes. And so anyways, I lost everything. It was going so good, and then I lost it all. So it sucked. But I learned a lot of lessons in that season. So then,
do you trust anyone now after that?
I'm very careful.
I can imagine. So
I will never have a business partner again. No matter, he could be anybody, but I wouldn't do it. So
how do you think though that I'm curious on something. Like a business partner, how do you think you could ever not trust someone again? Like I don't think I could. Because I've got to a point where like I started my career, I trusted everyone. Like every single person, I was like, dude, you're my friend, I trust you, like this is gonna be perfect. And now I don't trust anyone.
Yeah.
I think it's because I've been burned, not that bad, but I've been burned a lot too, and I literally just can't even trust people anymore.
Yeah, so...
It's the hardest thing is that trust.
It is, yeah. I would say for me, like, probably the easiest way I can say it, I guess, is I don't get myself in too deep that I'm not willing to risk it. Like, I don't know if that makes sense, but say, say I did have another business partner, I would only get entangled with them to a certain point to where if they screwed me, I'm okay with losing that portion.
Sure.
But nothing more. So yeah. But full 100% trust, it's really hard to earn with me, I guess you could say. So, but and not in a bad way. I mean, I don't think that everybody out there has bad intentions.
Right. Of course.
But things happen. I mean, even if it was something honest, things still happen. And so, yeah.
I think too is going back to you read things and then if they finally become true, it's some of the original stuff I learned about business and sales teams are trust is the most important thing.
Yeah.
And it's funny how your whole business has actually ended up being built off of that in a way. At least mine is.
Yeah. So
it's being snaked, being screwed over, all those things just are a trust thing.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's if you 100% trusted people.
Yeah, and I think in those situations, there's two paths you can take. Getting snaked, for example, you can take the path of dishonesty in some way. I don't know the details, but you can always go the dishonest route or the honest route. How can you beat somebody that's always right? I mean, honestly. And so if you always stick to the honest thing, even though it's always almost always anyways, the hardest decision.
It is.
How can you beat somebody that's always doing the right thing? So that's kind of what I focus on. So let me ask you, what are you focused on? And if you're wondering why I'm sitting out here, it's because, our camera ran out of memory. So that's just the joys of doing a podcast. It was a long form episode, but leave a comment down below of what you guys got out of it, what spoke to you the most. For me, it was definitely leadership. That's an important part and something that I really have been vigorously working on. So leave a comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the next episode as we forge our future together. Love you guys.